All right, so are you ready to like really dig into PlayStation history?
Oh, yeah.
Because today we're going to break down this How-To Geek article.
Okay.
And they went ahead and ranked like every single PlayStation generation.
Bold move.
It is.
Yeah.
And, some of these picks you might be like, yeah, totally agree.
Uh-huh.
And others you might be like, what are they thinking?
Right.
But either way, I think this is going to bring back some serious nostalgia.
For sure. I mean, what's really cool is how the article sets up each generation. It's
Yeah.
not just, specs and dates.
Yeah.
It's like the whole gaming landscape at the time.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes it so interesting. So
Yeah.
let's just jump right in to the most controversial pick, I think.
Okay.
The PS3 at the very bottom of the list.
The biggest loser.
Yeah. They really did not hold back. And,
Wow.
it's a controversial pick.
It is.
But the article does a pretty good job, I think, of explaining, why.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that the hardware, maybe wasn't as powerful as people hoped.
Mm.
It was the reason behind that.
Okay.
That cell processor.
Right.
Super ambitious. But it ended up being
Yeah.
really, really hard for developers to work with.
Oh, totally. And, you think about it, the PS3, on paper, it was a beast.
Yeah.
But all that complexity meant, a lot of games really struggled
Yeah.
to hit that smooth 30 frames per second that, we've all come to expect.
It's a huge difference.
It's a huge difference.
And for anyone who's into emulation, trying to, recreate a console on a PC or something,
Right.
PS3 was a nightmare
Oh, yeah.
because of that unique architecture.
Totally. And it just makes it that much harder to revisit those games today.
Right.
You think about backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
A lot of those PS3 games are still stuck on that original hardware.
Not cool.
Not cool.
But, okay, so full disclosure, the comment section on this article was on fire.
Oh, really?
People had a lot of thoughts.
I bet.
Some people were like, no, the PS3 aged beautifully.
Yep.
And they brought up, things like free online play
Right. Huge at the time.
compared to Xbox Live Gold.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. And
And they're not wrong.
no,
The PS3 did pioneer some features that we just kind of take for granted now.
totally.
Like even backwards compatibility with PS1 and PS2 games.
Yes.
A lot of people still really appreciate that.
For sure. So it's like this whole nostalgia versus practicality debate.
Yeah.
One commenter, Andrew, even shared this story about his PS3 breaking
Oh, no.
twice.
Oh, no.
Once, right before the final boss of Bayonetta.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Devastating.
Totally heartbreaking. And, that really does affect how we remember a console.
Oh, for sure.
It's not just the games. It's like the whole experience.
Absolutely. All right, so let's fast forward now to the current generation.
Okay.
The PS5.
All right.
And surprisingly,
Yeah.
gets kind of a meh rating in this article.
What?
Yeah, more of a PS4 Pro 2, they say.
Okay. Interesting. So not a huge leap forward.
Right. That's their argument, is it's more about refinement than revolution.
I see.
We kind of hit this plateau in game design
Uh-huh.
during the PS4 era.
Yeah.
And the PS5, while it's amazing technically,
Yeah.
hasn't really broken that mold yet.
I mean, are they saying it's a disappointment?
Not necessarily. They acknowledge the power,
Okay.
but they question whether it's a must-have upgrade,
Right.
the way the PS1 or the PS2 were.
Makes you think.
Right. And it makes me think about the PS4,
Yeah.
which the article actually calls Sony's last big leap.
Okay.
They praised the performance, the multitasking, the fact that it finally
Mhm.
nailed that solid 30 FPS in most games.
Okay. And they're positioning it as the sweet spot then.
Yeah, they actually say that their PS5 purchase was mainly for
Yeah.
higher resolution and frame rates, but
Okay.
implying that the PS4 experience was already pretty great.
Interesting. So maybe the PS5 is more for those who need the absolute cutting edge,
Yeah.
while the PS4 is still a fantastic experience.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, but now let's go all the way back to the beginning,
Okay.
to the console that started it all.
Yeah.
The original PlayStation,
The OG.
the OG, and the article ranks it number 2.
Wow.
And, it's not hard to see why this was more than just a console. This was
Yeah.
a cultural moment.
Right.
The PS1 brought gaming into the 3D world
Uh-huh.
in a way that was accessible, but also just mind-blowing at the time.
Totally. And it's easy to forget now how groundbreaking it was.
Yeah.
I mean, that combination of the CD-ROM,
Right.
the 3D graphics, the games that weren't afraid to tackle, more mature themes.
For sure.
It really set the template for what we think of as modern console gaming.
I mean, think about it the way we control characters in 3D spaces.
Yeah.
The genres that became popular. So much of that can be traced back to the PS1.
It's true. And those games, a lot of them are still considered classics today.
Absolutely. And you know what else the PS1 popularized?
What's that?
The DualShock controller.
Oh, yeah.
Which has basically become the standard for how we play games.
Pretty much, yeah. 2 analog sticks.
Yeah.
Comfortable design.
Yeah.
A legacy that's still felt today.
Which brings us to the console that the author crowns as the king.
Yeah.
The PlayStation 2.
The PS2.
The best-selling console.
For a reason.
For a reason.
Yeah.
Until potentially...
The Switch, yeah.
The Switch, well, we'll see.
We'll see.
But PS2 was a beast.
It was.
And it wasn't just about the technology. It was the sheer variety and quality of the games.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, from RPGs like Final Fantasy X and Shadow of the Colossus to, like, action-adventure games like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas,
yes,
Metal Gear Solid 3. There was something for everyone.
For real. And it really built on what the PS1 did do.
Yeah.
And took it to a whole new level.
Absolutely. The article describes it as like the single biggest leap between generations in gaming history.
Wow, that's a big claim.
It is a big claim. What do you think?
I mean, it's hard to argue with that.
Right, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
What was your experience with the PS2 like?
Yeah, man.
Did it live up to the hype for you?
It really was. You know, for a lot of people, the PS2 was like that moment in gaming.
Yeah.
It felt like every month there was another like can't miss game coming out.
Right. And it wasn't just, you know, sequels and familiar franchises either. The PS2 era saw like the birth of some seriously iconic new series.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, can you imagine playing God of War?
Oh, wow.
Or Shadow of the Colossus for the first time?
Yeah.
Like back then.
Those games blew my mind.
Right.
They pushed the limits of what you thought was possible on a console, both visually and like story-wise.
And it makes me think about, you know, we've been talking about the evolution of PlayStation.
Right.
But it's like each generation innovated in different ways.
Yeah.
We talked about the PS1, you know, 3D gaming, the DualShock controller.
Yeah.
But what about some of the tech advancements that maybe flew under the radar a little bit?
Yeah. Well, one that comes to mind is the PS1 adopting CD-ROM.
Oh, yeah.
It allowed for like way bigger,
Right.
more detailed game worlds compared to cartridges at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we take it for granted now.
Right.
But that was massive.
And then you have the PS3 with Blu-ray.
Oh, yeah.
Again, pushing the boundaries of storage. Visual fidelity.
It's crazy to think how far we've come.
I know.
From those like pixelated sprites.
And let's not forget about the DualShock controller itself.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about, you know, that iconic design. But each generation added these like subtle but important refinements.
Right. Rumble feedback.
Pressure-sensitive buttons.
Yeah.
Motion controls with the 6-axis.
The DualSense now.
So DualSense.
Yeah.
Which is a perfect example of how PlayStation like keeps innovating.
Totally.
The haptic feedback, the adaptive triggers.
It's not just a gimmick. It really changes how games feel.
Have you had a chance to experience that yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Games like Astro's Playroom and Returnal, they use those features in really clever ways.
Cool.
You can like feel the different surfaces you're walking on.
Wow.
The tension of pulling back a bowstring.
That's awesome.
It adds a whole new layer of immersion.
And that's what I love about, you know, PlayStation's approach to hardware.
Yeah.
It's not just about chasing specs. It's about making the experience of playing games more engaging, more immersive.
Exactly.
And speaking of immersion, we can't forget about online gaming.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The PS2 had some early experiments.
Right.
But it was really the PS3 that embraced that connected world.
With the PlayStation Network.
Yeah.
Do you remember how big of a deal it was to be able to play online with friends?
With anyone.
With strangers from all over the world.
It was a game changer. And it wasn't just multiplayer either.
Right.
I mean, the PlayStation Network opened up this whole world of digital content.
It's downloadable games.
Expansions. Social features.
Your console was suddenly more than just a gaming device.
Right. It was like a portal to this whole connected entertainment universe.
And that's just continued with the PS4 and the PS5.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, online gaming is like baked into the PlayStation experience now.
Yep, spawned esports.
Created these massive online communities,
Yeah.
changed how developers even design games.
For sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, even with all the advancements in online gaming, PlayStation hasn't forgotten about single-player experiences.
They've delivered some of the best single-player games ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about Uncharted,
The Last of Us,
Horizon Zero Dawn,
Ghost of Tsushima.
cinematic masterpieces,
Yeah.
pushing the boundaries of storytelling and game design.
Mm.
And a lot of those are PlayStation exclusives,
Oh, yeah.
which have become a huge selling point for them.
It's true.
Like, they understand that offering these unique experiences that you can't get anywhere else
right.
is key to building a dedicated fan base.
It's worked.
It has.
I mean, those exclusives have really shaped the console wars. Yeah.
Given PlayStation an edge-driven brand loyalty.
And it's a reminder that ultimately the games are what matters.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how powerful a console is, if the games aren't there,
what's the point?
What's the point?
Right.
And PlayStation has always understood that.
They've consistently put out just a ton of great games, both exclusive and multi-platform, that have kept players coming back.
I think it's that combination of technical innovation,
yeah,
compelling game design, and really understanding what players want.
Right.
That has made PlayStation such a force in the gaming world.
It's a legacy.
It is. So as we reflect on all the ways PlayStation has shaped gaming, what stands out to you the most? Is it a specific game, a technological advancement, or maybe just a particular moment that like solidified your love for PlayStation? You know, it's crazy. Each PlayStation generation has such a different vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Different memories. And for me, I think it was the PS2.
That really made me like a gamer for life.
Wow.
Those late nights playing Final Fantasy X, exploring Spyro, just getting lost in the story.
The PS2 was a powerhouse.
Yep.
Like, it's amazing how many of those games are still considered classics.
Totally. And it's funny, as we've been talking about PlayStation, I've realized these consoles don't just reflect like gaming trends.
Right.
They reflect technology as a whole.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
The PS1 came out when the internet was still this new mysterious thing.
Right.
Now we have the PS5 streaming 4K graphics connecting us to people all over the world.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder, what's next for PlayStation?
Right.
What's the next generation going to bring?
What's next?
How are they going to shape the future of gaming?
Well, if you look at what's happening now, VR could become even more integrated into PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen PSVR, but imagine a future where VR is just a core part of the experience.
Whoa, that'd be amazing. Being able to step into those worlds.
Step into Uncharted.
Oh, man, sign me up.
And with cloud gaming, you know, maybe PlayStation games will be on any device.
Right.
As long as you have good internet.
Imagine playing God of War on your phone.
Yeah.
On the go.
Crazy.
But that brings up a good question, though.
Yeah.
Will we even need consoles anymore?
Right.
Will it all be streaming? It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I think some players will always want dedicated hardware.
Yeah.
But cloud gaming is just so convenient.
Right.
Maybe we'll see both.
Yeah.
Coexisting.
A gaming world for everyone.
Right.
I like that. But no matter what happens, I think it's safe to say that PlayStation's going to be leading the way.
Pushing those boundaries.
Delivering those incredible gaming moments.
That's what they do.
They do. So as we wrap up this deep dive into PlayStation, I want to leave you with this.
Okay.
What makes a console generation truly great for you? Is it about the power, the graphic?
Groundbreaking features.
Right.
Or is it just about the games?
Yeah.
And the experiences they create?
I think each generation has its own special thing.
Yeah.
Its own defining moments.
For sure.
But ultimately, it's that emotional connection.
Right.
The games that stay with us, you know, long after we've put the controller down.
The memories?
The memories with friends and family.
Yeah.
That's the magic of PlayStation.
Well said. And on that note, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
What are your favorite PlayStation memories?
What defined your experience?
Head over to our social media.
Yeah.
Share your stories.
Let's hear them.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Keep on gaming.